Hey, what's up, guys? Nate Fancher here, and recently I've received some emails with some good feedback on some things that people are wrestling with, some questions that people have surrounding different issues, and a common one has been how to use social media. How do I really begin to use social media in a way that doesn't overwhelm me, in a way that's simple and it's just a big topic, social media marketing in general, and musicians and artists really wrestle with how to use it in the right way. And this video is not intended to be an exhaustive video. It's not a deep dive into how to use social media to build an audience, to build a platform, and to connect with your fans and your listeners, or whatever you're doing. This video is really just to get you started now, so that after this video you can go and take a few steps, take a few action steps towards a simpler and more peaceful way of using social media. And I'm really using that word strategically, peaceful, because for me, social media for so long was overwhelming, and I would do it when I was inspired, and I would go weeks without having posted anything on different things. So in this video, I really want to just demystify a few things, give you a few practical tips, and get you started right away. So let's go. Platforms are the different things in social media that are very well known. Obviously, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine. We could continue going. There are other platforms that are basically places online for anyone to go and sign up for free and begin connecting with people immediately. Another one might be like Tumblr. There are plenty of others that come to mind, right? But these would be just platforms for social media. Social media, don't think when you hear the word social, when you hear the words social media, don't think immediately just Twitter or Facebook. Social media is basically this. It's technology where users are sharing content and interacting in a conversation. So there's two things happening. There's content creation and there's conversational sharing. This is really important to know because each one of these three things, these are the big three, I call them: Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Each one of them are very different from each other, but they all have the same thing in common. There's content being uploaded every single minute of every day. I think the last thing I heard was that on YouTube, it's more than 7 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every minute. That's a ton of content. Imagine that for a second. Sorry, I'm blown away by this. 7 hours of video every minute are uploaded to YouTube. That's crazy. Okay, so there's a lot of content, and it's the same with Twitter. There's all kinds of traffic and all kinds of people posting things all the time, every single minute. The same with Facebook. So there's content creation, and they all share that. But the other thing they all share is that there's conversation. And I really want us to look at these two things as two separate things. It's important for us to compartmentalize these two things. So the content side of things would be adding value, distributing and sharing other people's content, and regular, consistent updates where you're putting things out on a consistent basis. Driving traffic to your website or to other people's websites. That's obviously the content side, where you wouldn't have Facebook, you wouldn't have Twitter, you wouldn't have YouTube if you didn't have videos. You wouldn't have Facebook if you didn't have people's status updates. You wouldn't have Twitter if you didn't have the little tweets. That's the content. And then there's the conversational side. It's when you respond to other people's content, and that's the currency of social media is interacting. It's sharing other people's content. It's responding to people's comments when they comment on your stuff. So when someone says something on Twitter where they mention your name, you don't want to just let that hang out there. And that's the conversation side. And it's so vital. This is the most important point in this whole video that I really want you to take away. Split the two up. And this is where I want to dive into what I use in terms of tools, in terms of practical ways to really stay on top of your social media strategy. Split the two up. Don't do both things at the same time. Don't go on the Twitter website or the Facebook website and try to do both at once. Don't sit down at your computer for the first time without having thought of anything, and then you show up at these places and you're like, what do I say? What do I do? If you split the two up, it'll make it so much simpler. And the tools that I want to kind of go over with you now, I want to give you some screenshots of what I do and how I split the two up. Obviously, Twitter has their own website. They have their own mobile app that you can put on your phone, and the same with Facebook. But there are also third-party apps like TweetDeck and Hootsuite, Buffer and Tweetbot. These are some of the apps that I've used, and I want to specifically try to sell you on Buffer. I think Buffer is the best, and I have a reason for that, and we'll go into that now. Okay, so Buffer is what I use, and what's great about Buffer is that it's not noisy. Buffer, there's only a one-way street on Buffer, if I can use that phrase. It is essentially the content side of your social media. It's where you're going to come up with your tweets. It's where you're going to come up with your Facebook status updates. It's where you're going to share different content across the web. It's all about the content side. As I mentioned earlier, there's two sides, the content side and the conversation side. Buffer helps you split the two up and stay focused on your strategy, your plan, your content plan. And so let's look at it real quick. I'm going to log in. It'll ask you for your Twitter. You can do it through Facebook as well, or you can do it with your email address. Make sure I get the right password there. And it connects with the Buffer app, and here we have Buffer. So in Buffer, you have a couple of different plans. Right now, you can go to bufferapp.com, and then you can set up a free account, and I believe you get two. You can put in two different accounts, up to two or maybe three accounts. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head, but if you have a Facebook page and you have a Twitter profile, you should put those on there. And what you have is on the left side, you have your accounts. I do the paid version. It's like around $10 a month or so. I think you get a discount if you pay for the whole year, but you can put up to 12 different accounts. And I have my different Twitter accounts. I have a Facebook page. This is my personal Facebook profile here. I have a LinkedIn thing. And if you go down here, you can actually see a place where you connect more, and they can do other different social media platforms, app.net, Google+. I only use it for Facebook and Twitter at this point. But here's what's so awesome about Buffer. Let me just quickly go over to Hootsuite. I also have a Hootsuite account. Hootsuite's a completely separate third-party application. It's a web application hosted on the internet, hosted in the web for you to create tweets and respond to people. But look at this. I'm sorry, Hootsuite. I love you. You're an awesome company, but it's too noisy. I have so many different things going on here. And if you don't know Hootsuite, you're probably lost right now. I mean, I know what this is because I'm familiar with it, but here is all the people who mention me on Twitter. That's this column here. And see how that scrolls by itself? Here's my home feed as far as like the people I follow. Here are direct messages sent to me on Twitter. Here are my tweets. And actually, you can arrange these however you want. You can move them around. You can get rid of some, like I want to get rid of my direct messages. So there we go. Bye-bye. You can set up the different lists. There's a lot that you can do with Hootsuite. It is a really powerful application. So you can give it a shot, give it a try, and you might find that it's helpful for some reason. But this is not where I spend most of my time. I'm not going to come up with tweets here. I'm not going to follow people here. I'm not going to get on Hootsuite very much, quite frankly, because it's combining both the conversation and the content creation. That for me gets me paralyzed. I get behind, and then I'm not on top of it. I don't have a peaceful social media experience. Okay, That's Hootsuite. You can put in several accounts. Here's my Twitter. Here's my Facebook page stuff. Here's the CMB podcast Twitter account. Here's our church. I do our church's social media. Here's another one that I used to do. I don't have anymore, I don't think. Oh yeah, NF Media. That's kind of my big overarching company for everything I do. I don't do a lot with that at this point. Anyway, Hootsuite's cool. You got a lot of options over here like analytics. You can schedule things. But for me, it's just too noisy. So goodbye, Hootsuite. Okay. Here's Facebook and Twitter, and I have those open for a reason, which I'll go into in a moment. But back to Buffer. On Buffer, what you have is a simple, clean way to create a queue, a scheduled, automated line of tweets that are buffered for you. So you have a buffer. You have some margin in your social media life. That's what the name comes from. It's setting up space so that you can think ahead. You can be a little bit more peaceful and more clear-headed about how you're going to reach out to people, how you're going to add value to people, how you're going to really not create more noise on Twitter or on Facebook, but create more value for people. And so the way they do that is you have this little thing here. What do you want to share? Okay, all of my social media accounts show up, but I only want to send this out to the CMB list. So I just uncheck these, and then I type in here something cool, like just a simple tweet. So thankful for music. What an amazing, spell amazing correctly, what an amazing gift from God. And then I hit buffer. Now I could share this right now if I want, but the problem, and I do this sometimes, but the problem with sharing it now is that it's going to go out now, and then I don't have any more. I don't have a buffer. I don't have that space. But if I hit buffer, it's going to go into the queue. So it says one more tweet in your buffer. Keep it topped up. And the more you keep it topped up, the more on top of it you are, the less stressed you are. Now, if I go over to this side and I look at just the account CMB Podcast, I see the different tweets that are scheduled for today. I have a retweet of the Songwriters Cafe. They had me on their podcast recently. As you could tell, I hovered over it and it says change to quote. If you want to add your own comments, you can make a traditional, the old school retweet. You can change that to a quote, whatever you want to do, and you can add different things to it. I'm not going to do that though. I like their logo, and I want my followers to see the Songwriters Cafe Twitter stuff. I have another one here from Ben with a great quote from Matt Redman. So I'm just putting out tweets. I have 4 more going out today, and they're scheduled, as you can see right there, 5:34. I can switch to a custom time if I want to put it at my own time of my choosing. If we change the time, the same here, different times, 9:30, 9:54, 11:47. So I don't have to, I could essentially just sit back and not have to worry about it today because they're ready to go. Tomorrow I have a couple more. But what's cool is you can set up the schedule for your buffered tweets and status updates. So for CMB Podcast, I have 11 times every day. So whenever I hit buffer, it'll put 1 in here. When I hit buffer again, it'll put 1 in here. When I keep hitting buffer, when I buffer the tweets, when I buffer the content, it'll just keep stacking it up in this queue. And after a while, it just is awesome. So let me just show you this. On LinkedIn, I only do like 2 a day. And I have 37 different things. And if I click on it and come over here to the buffer queue, I see on LinkedIn, I have all of these status updates on LinkedIn that are scheduled all the way through the month of March. How awesome is that? I don't have to worry about LinkedIn for a while, but I'm only doing 2 a day. So it's going to add up quickly if it's just a little bit a day. So you have to decide how many do you want to do each day. For my personal Twitter, I have quite a lot, I believe. 11 times. It's the same as CMB Podcast, I guess. Yeah. But you can go in here and strategically pick times for them to go in. So this is actually on their website, on their servers, bufferapp.com. You can set them up. There's great analytics after you set up your accounts. There are great analytics that you can go through and see. It's so awesome. So this is the content side. On the conversational side, I will log into Twitter. I will go to Twitter and I will log in and I will see the people I follow right here. Of course, if you're familiar with Twitter, you know how this works. Here's worship links. I love, I think his name is Brad. What's up, Brad? Here's a shout out to you. And I have an extension in Chrome. I'm using Chrome. And in Chrome, you can set up an extension to where Buffer shows up in your Twitter timeline. So I can go like this. Oh, not that one. Sorry. Worship links. I want this tweet to go out to my followers. I'm going to hit Buffer. It's going to be our traditional retweet like that. Or I'm sorry, not traditional, but the new school retweet. If that confuses you, don't worry. That doesn't matter. I wanted to change this to a quote, and I'm going to say, I'm going to actually take out his Twitter handle, put this around quotation marks, put a straight up and down bar to kind of break it up a little bit, keep that hashtag, and then over here, I'm going to put via worship links. And then I'm going to select where I want it to go from. I want it to go out of CMB and CMB podcast and the Nate Fancher Twitter, personal Twitter. And I'm going to hit Buffer. Boom, adding to your buffer. One more tweet in your buffer, keep it topped up, and then it's done. And the more you get into the habit of doing this kind of thing, you're kind of doing the content thing as well as you come across it. But here's where I was saying keeping it separated is really important. And the only real reason I get on Twitter is to see how the social side of it's going. I have a few comments here or a few different places where people have mentioned me. Caroline Cobb, what's up, Caroline? Wisdom, he mentioned the podcast episode that we did together on his podcast. Anyway, so you have all this stuff, and I can get in here and just talk to people. It's conversation. I'm going to reply to Vern. I'm going to say, what's up, Vern? Great quote. Learn how to spell. And then my followers see that I've mentioned him. This is the currency of social media right here, the conversational piece. Tweet, and boom, there it goes. So if I go over here to my tweets, I see that I have that in there. And then a lot of these right here were a combination of the Buffer side of things. These are all different things I've shared through Buffer or I've created on the Buffer app. And then the other ones are just conversational tweets. The same with Facebook. I have my Facebook page here, and these are just mainly things from Buffer. And I will select. I'll pick and choose which ones I want to go to Facebook and Twitter. I'm not going to get into why on that in this video, but anyway. So look at this, Benjamin Glover. Who is the world, Miguel, or who in the world? Okay, he must have missed. Let me see here. Sorry. Who in the world is Miguel? That's what he's trying to say. I'm just going to laugh at that. There, I've just had some conversation with Ben on this app. I'm sorry, this picture. All right. Now, here's another thing that's great about Buffer. You're surfing the web. Let's say you go to your favorite blog. So I'm going to go to allaboutworship.com. These guys are really cool. I love Wisdom Moon. Go check them out, allaboutworship.com. Here's a review and giveaway of John Mark McMillan's album, Borderland. Very cool. Oh, I got a QuickTime pop up there. Okay, so sweet. It's a great review here, it looks like. I'll probably read through this, and if I really like it, guess what? Buffer extension in Chrome, right up here. I hit Buffer. I see it kind of give me a little bit of an idea of what the tweet could be. I come in here and I edit it. And I just kind of basically Actually, I'm going to change this to his Twitter handle so that that gets mentioned on his side of things. I'm going to take out a lot of this because sometimes they just basically take the title of the website and put it in there for you. So clean up your tweets, by the way. That really helps. The fewer characters you have, the more people will read it. So John Mark McMillan's Borderland review and giveaway, all about worship. I'm going to send that out again on my. I have a lot there to click. That I will say this: if anybody from Buffer is watching, you ought to figure out a way to, I don't know, have a default social media profile that shows up and then click the ones you want rather than them all showing up at the same time. So you have to deselect them all. That's annoying. Just FYI to you Buffer people. All right. Anyway, so there you go. John Mark McMillan's Borderland review and giveaway, all about worship. That's going to go out. I'm going to hit Buffer. It adds to the buffer. And this is going to be, if I come over here and hit refresh, this will probably go out tomorrow, I think. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Sorry. Yep. Tomorrow, John Mark McMillan's Borderland review and giveaway. There you go. And then within here, let's say you don't like the order and you want to just break it up a little bit, you can drag these around, which is really helpful if you want to be a little bit more strategic about the different, like if you have a lot of retweets back to back, that could probably be a little monotonous, so you can change that up. Anyway, there you go. There you have it. This is the Buffer app. I suggest that you do that. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions at all, please leave your questions, your comments, your remarks in the comment section below this. If you're at our blog, christianmusicblog.com, with this blog post, let us know what you think. If you have any concerns, if you have any disagreements, I'd love to engage with you in the dialogue surrounding this topic. And if you're on YouTube, you can subscribe to our channel there for more videos coming soon. And I'd also love to know your thoughts. Leave your comments there as well. All right, rock and roll. You guys take care, and we'll see you soon.